Maddy Glab here with Lisa from the Arizona Cardinals. Thank you so much for being on with us. We're going to preview the matchup between the Cardinals and the Bills here, a Week 10 matchup, and both teams have had really exciting seasons in a lot of different ways. The Cardinals are 5-3 through 9 weeks of play. So what has impressed you just the most about what this team has been able to put on display this season?
Yeah, well, first off, praise the Cardinals have 5 wins, equaling the most wins that they had last season. So we knew that this season under Cliff Kingsbury, it's their second year in the system, that things would vastly improve. And they could very well be 6-2 if you look at some of the mistakes that have cost them in some of their losses. But what impresses me most just comes down to one guy. I know we're going to talk a lot about him, and that's Kyler Murray. Just his ability to extend plays, make things happen with his feet. I think he is the first quarterback in Super Bowl era with at least 8 rushing touchdowns through the first 8 games of a season. And that's just one of his milestones that he's hit this year. So just watching him week after week has truly been something special here, Maddie.
Yeah, what has been different about him this season? Because last season he was definitely a storyline in that he was this new type of mobile quarterback that we're seeing in the NFL. But the way that the Cardinals use him and the way that Cliff uses him is just so much more different than a lot of the other mobile quarterbacks that we're seeing in the NFL. It's a lot more of a college type style of play with the Arizona Cardinals. He ranks first in rushing yards and rushing touchdowns among quarterbacks, and the Cardinals have the best offense right now in terms of total yards per game with 422. So what's been the most unique step maybe that Kyler has taken in his second year in the NFL?
You know what? They're not patting their backs just yet for having that stat of the #1 offense overall. They're not looking at that as, hey, crown us as the best, because they have to improve a lot. But I would say an area in which Kyler Murray has really improved, and that's more so off the field. That's becoming more of a vocal leader. He is not much of a talkative guy as it is, but there's no one that knows this offense more than Kyler Murray, and coming in even his rookie season. But it takes some time kind of just to get the locker room to trust you, I would say, just to get behind you. And right off the bat, he had that confidence. But now in year 2, we're seeing him expect that from the guys who play alongside him. He has no problem calling you out in a respectful manner, but just expecting the most from his receivers to be on the same game plan as him, the same mentality. This guy, all he wants to do is win. That's really all he knows, and he expects the most from his players as well. So I think this year, beyond just what he's doing on the field, yes, it's spectacular, but he's really coming into his own as a leader, and that gains a lot of respect inside that locker room as well here in year 2.
The Bills have a pretty young quarterback too in Josh Allen, and I have to agree with you. Watching him in his second and his third season, yeah, you really saw him start to take over the locker room and that maturity grow, and I'm sure it's been the same with Kyler. Speaking of something that's been very, very similar for both of our teams is that we both traded for some star wide receivers in this offseason. I was reading an ESPN article yesterday, and they had Deandre Hopkins and Stephon Diggs as being 2 of the best offseason acquisitions that teams had in the NFL. And you look at DeAndre's stats, much like Stephon Diggs' stats, and they prove that this player has been a great addition for the team. DeAndre ranks 5th right now in receiving yards. He has 303 yak yards, which is something that he's really known for as that tough type NFL wide receiver that he is. So how does DeAndre Hopkins help change this offense with the Arizona Cardinals?
Just completely, Maddie. He's the X factor, the big time receiver that this team needed, and making that splash play over the offseason. It was something I had a double look on my phone when I got the alert. Hold up, what just happened here? It's definitely been something that this offense has needed, that Cliff Kingsbury has needed with this offense. Yes, of course, there's Larry Legend, Larry Fitzgerald, who is still killing it at his age. I think Christian Kirk is emerging as a star in this offense as well. But to have 2 future Hall of Famers to go to, Kyler Murray, the comfort level that he has in both of those guys. And look, him and Hopkins are still getting used to one another, still getting comfortable, but it's a connection that is growing. You see week after week. I think last week against the Dolphins was an anomaly. He was only targeted just a handful of times. That's not going to be the case. He's a sure-handed guy. He's going to go to him on those first downs that he needs, third downs, and the explosive plays that Cliff Kingsbury just loves to throw in. Obviously, it's the air raid, right? So it's a look of that. And having a guy like Hopkins to deliver those explosive plays time after time. The fan base loves him. He loves being an Arizona Cardinal. So it really was a great get, like you said, for the Arizona Cardinals this offseason, and something that everyone is excited to see develop over the course of time here in Arizona.
How has this defense been able to deal with wide receiver ones? I mean, they have Deandre Hopkins on their team, so I'm sure they've gotten to practice against a really great wide receiver day in and day out, but just being able to limit a wide receiver core. The Bills have quite a few guys that they can go to, and Stephon Diggs, John Brown, Cole Beasley, the rookie Gabriel Davis. How have they been able to scheme up against teams that use a lot of different weapons, and how do you see them doing that this week against the Bills?
Yeah, well, first off, I am a huge Smokey John Brown fan, obviously, with his time in Arizona.
Yes.
I love the guy. I love to see him have success over there with you guys. But yeah, looking at the way that the Cardinals have defended, I think this is one of the most explosive passing attacks that they've actually faced up to this point. Of course, we have all-pro Patrick Peterson. Yes, 10 years in, but he's still locking things down on his side of the field, partially because quarterbacks don't want to throw to him. He still poses as a big threat. And I think now, and he'll say it to anyone, that it's now mentally a part of the game for him. He knows how to hit his angles and how to play ahead of the guy, maybe more on an intellectual level, because he knows that he is 10 years in. He's not the same athletic type that he once was, but he is still a threat. Unfortunately, the Cardinals have dealt with a lot of depth problems at the cornerback position, but we are getting Byron Murphy back off of the COVID-19 list this week. So this will be a huge test, a huge matchup, something to watch with Patrick Peterson and Byron Murphy going up against your guys, because yes, they are a lethal receivers corps to say the least.
Definitely. Right now, the Cardinals defense ranks 18th, allowing 364 total yards a game. And yeah, you look at Patrick Peterson as that defensive weapon that he is, and it's going to be tough to kind of sneak anything by him just with the way that he plays football. But we've talked about the stars. We've talked about Kyler and Deandre and Patrick and John Brown and Stephon Diggs. But who are some of the more under the radar players on the Cardinals that could pose a threat to the Bills this weekend?
Hassan Reddick, without a doubt. Linebacker Hassan Reddick is truly playing to his natural position. He is thriving there, coming off the edge. He experimented at first, the Cardinals did, with him inside linebacker. It didn't seem to bode well for him, so they're like, hey, you have too much talent. We got to find a place for you. And he is right at home, Maddie. I mean, he has the most sacks on this team thus far. Granted, this has been a position that has taken some hits. Chandler Jones out for the entire year. Devon Kennard just coming off COVID-19 list after missing a few weeks due to a calf injury. So they've been trying to plug and play guys as much as they can. And Vance Joseph, the way that he likes to attack quarterbacks and his defensive mindset, starts and predicates with 2 pass rushers that are strong and 2 cover corners. So not being able to have both of those things has, put a dent in this defense and the ability that they do have. However, Hassan Reddick has stepped up tremendously. I don't know how much we're going to be blitzing, though, given your quarterback and the abilities that he has as well. But we'll see. Obviously, we need that pressure on the edges no matter what. And he's someone that definitely you should have your eye on come Sunday.
I think no matter what, these 2 quarterbacks in Kyler Murray and Josh Allen, they can evade pressure like no one else can in the NFL. And I think we'll definitely be able to see that on Sunday. Lisa, thank you so much for the time. It should be a great matchup. I'm expecting a lot of points to be put up on the scoreboard. I mean, we saw what happened against the Seahawks. It was a 44-34 final. You guys were just in a close game with the Dolphins. They've improved so much on defense in the last second half, or the first half of the season, really going into the second half of the season. So I'm really excited for this matchup.
Yeah, it's going to be a shootout. I can't wait to watch and see. The Bills have just improved tremendously. So it's something that I'm excited to see these 2 teams go face to face with great quarterbacks, like you said.
Lisa Matthews with the Arizona Cardinals. Thank you so much, and good luck, but not too much luck.
Hey, love you still, girl.